Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You are listening to and watching, well, you're watching 3 quarters of us because Ian's having technical difficulties. So you get to see a pitch line. You're listening to and watching the review crew. I am your host, Brian, the conscience of Cleveland Donlan. And, well, folks, it's week 3. And what a week it's been, to be fair. I think it's fair to say week 3 has been a bit of a highlight. Loads and loads of big talking points we're going to work our way through. And there's more than a few talking points from this week's slate of games so far. As always, we will be making sure that we go a wee kick-off question in a minute to ease us into things. And as always, we have got our statistic of the week waiting for you at the end of the pod as well. Now remember, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts from. And as always, I am joined by some of the finest members of the crew. Now we will start. He is the big cheese in the land of the crew. He comes from, well, it doesn't come from the frozen north of Green Bay. He's not that cruel to himself. But he might be starting to fall back in love. Yeah. Told you, I said it last week. The podcasting community.
He's dropping the puns already.
It's absolute fortune for having his name. But yes, it is Liam, our Packers fan. How are you doing, Liam?
I'm good. Indeed. Another great weekend of football. Great weekend.
Tell me about it. Now, it's even, and we'll get to it because we are going to talk Green Bay. But it's even a weekend. You get to wake up to Victory Monday.
I know.
You didn't expect many of this season.
I had hope. I had hope.
We all know that his automatic answer was to just be a fan and say, "No, I didn't." No, actually,
I know. I had to rein it a bit.
Well, for one person who, if he's honest with himself, didn't expect to have many Victory Mondays, to somebody who did expect to have many Victory Mondays and has as yet been left wanting. It is our resident Viking, but it seems like his team's the one being getting raided. Smudger, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. But you said Liam didn't come from the frozen north. He does. He comes from East Coast Brides. That's like the most frozen north you can get in Central Scotland. Come on.
Oh. in terms of Scotland, you're talking to somebody that lives in Elgin. How you doing, mate? Well, I would say, have you been enjoying watching the games? Have you been enjoying the NFL? I'll leave it a bit vaguer than that.
I have been enjoying the NFL, Brian. Have I been? I've been enjoying most of the NFL. How about that? We asked for the skin there. I've been enjoying most of the NFL. Did I enjoy all of the NFL this weekend? Maybe not, but we'll probably talk about that in just a wee bit.
You have enjoyed a solid 95% of the NFL. There's that little lingering percentage that I may make you live through, unfortunately. Now the good news, actually, gentlemen, for this week, we are actually joined by somebody who knows what they're talking about, which is absolutely refreshing because it's somebody that can correct all of the many howlers that I utter as I fumble my way in the dark through this podcast. It is Ian. He has been with us before. Those of you that were tuning in throughout the off-season will have heard Ian. He is one of the coaches with the East Kilbride Pirates. And as much as he's knowledgeable, his team choice is questionable because he's a Pats fan. But we'll forgive him for that and we welcome him back. Ian, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Good to be back. Looking forward to it.
Nice one. Have you? This is why I'm again staying away from the details of your game. Have you been enjoying the NFL back as well? It's been interesting. Must be interesting being a Patriots fan at the minute.
Yeah, I seen something today which was quite funny, but he hated last year under Patricia and things like that, and things have looked a lot better this year. But I noticed that our offense ranks lower so far this year than it did at this time last year under Patricia, but certainly doesn't feel like that. So it's amazing just what that negative kind of impact on person taking away does and makes a change. But yeah, it's been two hard opening games to start with, which in the contrary looks like actually pretty decent results or decent performances. But Yeah, still the same old mistake. Still the same old thing. Just shooting ourselves in the foot, making their own mistakes, and not being able to close out things at simple, fumbles at silly points and silly penalties at crucial points and things like that. It's just the difference between winning and losing at the moment. But yeah, it's good to have the Jets yesterday and get back to winning ways.
So hang on, that's that. Issues at critical moments. So that sounds like that might be a coaching problem.
I don't know if it's a coaching problem, but it'll certainly. I've got a very good friend that's a Raiders fan, and we kind of text each other all the time, and he knows my thoughts at the moment. I don't know. I think Bill might be getting a bit senile in his old age. Maybe.
Listen, I happen to know that Bill tunes into this podcast every single week, and he'll be sat.
He's still not as well. So.
It's I don't know. It's just a few things that glaring wide receiver number one required, and we don't really do much in that market. Glaring line requirements, don't really do much in that one market, and just makes you wonder, I guess, when the CC that we don't see and that sort of thing. So, but
I'm going to have to challenge you there, Ian. I'm going to have to challenge you because as a devout fantasy owner of Kendrick Bourne, you clearly have an excellent wide receiver one who should be seeing 20 plus targets every single game.
Well, I don't think Matt gets enough time to drop back and take 20 plus back.
Right, okay, guys, we are going to get into it. Thank you all very much. So it is time, as always, for our kick-off question. And we really couldn't go anywhere else with it this week than laying a beat down on a team. We have I'm not going to spoilers, folks. There was a big result at the weekend. Don't tell anyone.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Oh, just in case you don't exist on any form of social media. So yes, we've seen the Dolphins lay the beat down last night. And that is the theme of our question this week. What is your favourite ever sporting beatdown that you've seen? Can be any sport, can be any era. Doesn't necessarily need to be a big score. Because I'm going to be honest, mine isn't a big scoring game, but it's just more of a philosophical beatdown that you laid on another team. Who would like to kick me off? Who's got one that jumped into their head that they thought, yes, Smudge, that hand went up very, very quickly.
It did.
This is like being in my work. It's great. Right, on you go, mate. What is your favourite ever sporting beatdown?
I'm only just jumping in because I thought surely somebody else in the pod is going to pick this beatdown as well, but I don't know. But in recent history, recent footballing World Cup history anyway, my absolute favourite beatdown that I've seen was 2014 in the World Cup semi-final between Brazil and Germany, where Germany absolutely destroyed Brazil 7-1, and it was just one of the best, most clinical games of football I've ever watched. They just absolutely picked Brazil apart, just gave them an absolute footballing lesson. It was just glorious. I loved watching it, and just even at the end, seeing so Neymar. I know he was injured, but just seeing him in tears, the outcome of the fallout afterwards. There was just so many distraught Brazilian footballers. But I mean, it was a beatdown, an absolute hiding, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it because I'd watched the Germany game. The World Cup before as well, and then they were playing England 2010, and it was amazing as well. Was that a 5-1 game? It was tremendous and all, but the 7-1 game where they absolutely took Brazil to pieces. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. That's one of my most enjoyable beatdowns.
And watching Neymar cry is special for everybody.
Why would you not take pleasure in watching that? I mean, come on.
It's incredible. We shouldn't be that nasty, but it is fantastic. A wee shout out to the Bouncing Off the Ropes podcast on YouTube, chucking us in. His favourite is Man U 6, Arsenal 1, that he was actually there for, which makes it even better. I'm going to assume a Man U fan, because I'm fairly certain Arsenal fans wouldn't say that they like that. But it's always nice to get to see a beat down in the flesh as well. Right, Liam, Ian, who's got one that's at the tip of their tongue,
Well,
they're desperate to go off their chest?
I was slightly worried when Craig brought up the World Cup in Germany there, because mine is exactly the World Cup in Germany, but a wee bit earlier than that, 2002. Germany.
Okay.
I just remember this one a bit random, just because of where I was watching the World Cup. I was walking the West Highland Way, and we're trying to watch the World Cup as we're doing it. We're at school. Germany beat, not quite Brazil, but obviously gave Saudi Arabia an absolute hiding, 8-0.
That was great fun.
Closest scoring a hat trick was amazing. I can't remember now. I think it was 3 headers, but I could be wrong. I can't remember now. It was something like that. It was something stupid like that. But yeah, that was just a crazy game. And I thought Klose got the golden boot that year, but he didn't. I think it was the year after he got the golden boot, which I was a bit shocked at. So I think it was actually Ronaldo who got it that year. But anyway, that was just a fun memory of watching the World Cup.
Watching the World Cup, yeah, it's that. To be fair, watching that mighty footballing nation, Saudi Arabia, get leathered 6 ways for Sunday.
Not quite Brazil, but still, I'll take it.
It's fine. It was good fun to watch. Ian, what about yourself, mate? What is your favourite sporting beatdown?
So I've had a few in my time, but my personal one that probably means the most as well was actually last year with the Pirates in the Division 1 national final. Didn't really know what to expect, and we went out and put 50 in a final on a team.
Putting down a 50 burger.
50 burger national final. Broadcast live on YouTube everywhere. We opened the game and we turned the opening kick off to the house, and then just never let go for the rest of the game. So yeah, that's the personal one that will always stick there. Be on the sidelines, knowing just got that feeling the whole way through. This is it. We've won this, and yeah, that was a great one.
Ian, have you heard of the Geneva Convention?
Yeah, I was just a coach, man. Like, it's just the players that were committing the crimes, not me.
It's just do something like that to a team in a final. It's different if you leather somebody in round 1 of a tournament. You know what I mean? They get to go home and lick their wounds in the final when everybody's watching. Oh, that's a special one, but I like that. That is special. Right, mine. I'm going for there's only one I was ever going to go for. It wasn't a massive score difference. Mine is an NFL one, and it was only a score difference of 11 points, but it did involve 28 points in the first quarter when the Browns beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
I knew you were going to pick that game.
Oh, it's going to be that way. Do you know the only reason that's the one? One, because that first quarter is possibly the best quarter of football I think I've ever seen. It was Big Ben at the end, just sitting there, utterly defeated in the sideline in his own guy in the playoffs for the Browns. And no, I don't care that we've had no serious success since then. That is not the point. Oh, right,
you can dine out in that quarter for decades, Brian. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter that we literally lost all 3 remaining quarters. That's the rest of that game. The second quarter we lost. Each quarter. The second quarter we lost 10-7. Third quarter we lost 13-0. Fourth quarter we lost 14-13. That was enough.
Was that the first quarter where the ball went over Ben's head? Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
First snap of the game. Straight over his head.
Over there.
One of my favourite ever moments in football. Right, okay. We're warmed up, gentlemen. So it is time to visit what was a fantastic week 3. Well, for most of us. It was a fantastic week 3. Now, on the notion of it only was a fantastic week 3 for most of us, we're going to, Smudge, it was you that coined this phrase not originally, on the pod, you coined it. We're going to tear the plaster off. We're going to go in, we're going to remove it. It is time to start the paper bag shame. So, it was the Chargers. They were coming to Minnesota. 2 teams, 0-2. It was going to be the time to see who was going to drop to 0-3. Roger, this is when you tell us where the bad people hurt you, and we get the little doll, and you get to talk about it, mate.
That's it. They hurt us here. Man, where do you start with this game? I was full of high hopes, Brian. The pod that we did in the preview crew, I thought it's going to be a close game. It was a close game in terms of the score. I think the score was flattering, to say the least, as far as the Vikes were concerned. And we'll get into that. I thought it was going to be a high-scoring game. I thought we were going to get a shootout. We didn't quite get a shootout, but there was just so many mistakes in this game. It was just like from both sides, it was a mix of awful fumbles, giving the ball away, terrible defense, terrible defending, and awful play calling. Like just all of those, and all of those definitely applied to the Vikes. Maybe not all of them as far as the Chargers were concerned, but we were just dreadful. It was one of the most frustrating games to watch because we just made so many stupid errors. We couldn't hold the football. The Hawkinson fumble, I think super glue is probably the one thing I would say would have helped us in that game. Like just from the very beginning, the Hawkinson fumble that we were, I think, about 20 odd yards or something from the goal line, gave it away, and then that kicked off Chargers on a bit of, I don't know, 70 odd yard drive to score a touchdown, take the lead, and we went from bad to worse every time. Like we actually got away with one as well. There was a play where Mattison got the ball and snap comes to him, and then he only has the ball for about maybe 3 seconds or something, and the play gets basically blown dead. And I'm like, hold on a minute, it's only been like 3 seconds or something, but basically he loses the football, the Chargers get the football back, and we basically get away with one. But we just, fumble after fumble after fumble, and just terrible defending. Our defending, I said last week as well that our defence hasn't looked great, and I kind of put it down to, right, it's early in the season, new DC and everything else, new quarterbacks coming in as well. Let's see how things go. We were just say that the coverage was dreadful for some of the touchdowns, like the Herbert to Keenan Allen touchdown. He's literally like, there's not another Vikings cornerback, I think, within about alone, 10, 15 yards. So he's just like standing there, just giving a wee wave, like, oh, I'm over here.
Hello.
I think in that game, he had over half the yardage. Herbert had 405 yards passing, 215 of those were to Keenan Allen. Like, how are we not covering him better? Do you know what I mean? Like, how are we giving him that amount of space? I mean, unfortunately, that's the news that came out of the game. Allen went off later on in the game, unfortunately, a season-ending injury, which is a big blow for the Chargers. But
no, it was
Williams.
It was Williams with the season ender. Allen was.
Oh, sorry, no, it was Williams. Sorry, it was Williams. But I was just like, the running game. They didn't really have a running game. Like, Eckler was out.
I know I started Joshua Kelly. I know they didn't have a run game.
They definitely did not. They definitely did not have a running game. But just like, we thought, okay, they've not got a running game, so they're going to be concentrating on trying to pass the football. So, like, stick with your wide receiver. Like, don't give them acres of space and then just let them go straight through the way that they did. It was just
now to be fair, to be fair, they did start to let one of their wide receivers throw passes. So come on, if you're going to stick with your wide receiver and they start shutting passes, what can you do?
I think I was just taking the piss, to be honest. We just, like I said, the score flattered us. The Chargers were pretty efficient. Say Herbert was 40 for 47, 3 touchdowns. He really didn't do much wrong. But then when you've got players just with acres of room, just he made it look so easy. But our bad play calling, we hung on. I say there was a number of times where we were basically like 4th down, had to make the conversion, and there was a couple of ones. There was one that Osborne caught. That again, we were just holding on to that drive as best we could to try and stay in the game. And then we turned it around from there. Like JJ had his 52-yard touchdown, which was brilliant. You thought, all right, finally,
Nearly 150 yards in the game.
Turned a corner here and started to think, we're maybe going to actually get this win. And the fourth quarter was just mental. It's absolutely bizarre. And that's where all the daft play calling kept coming in as well. On both sides, like the Chargers were 4th and 1 in their own 24 or something like that. Decided to go for it, and we turned the ball over, got it back. Because at that point as well, you're thinking all they need to do is just keep a hold of the ball, make up that yard, and again thought no, game's over for us. But again, got back into that wee glimmer of hope. We thought we've maybe got a chance here, and then just absolute heartbreak at the end. Say pass to Hawkinson, that didn't quite make there. What was Kenneth Murray? I think was the guy that basically pipped them to it.
I'm going to give Hawkinson a bit of forgiveness. I'm going to say that was some really good defense actually.
It was, but we just nothing went right for us. But I think the score was flattering. We held on, and the Chargers, big win for them. Say to get that first win, 1 and 2 certainly looks a lot better than 0 and 3.
Now, do you know? Right, I'm going to stick this one to Liam and Ian. Right, so this is ones where from how do I put this delicately? From teams whose offenses are not firing on all cylinders. How would you feel if you went and played the Vikings next week? We redid the schedule, and either your team, you were up against the Vikings week 4. Is a team that, so the Vikings have no defense that anybody can see, but they've got a very potent offense. How would you feel about it?
Whenever you go up against Jefferson, Hawkinson, you can't take anything for granted, man. You know that guy can in the blink of an eye be down the field and scoring a touchdown, things like that. So it doesn't matter. I think I watched the first game of the season for the Vikings, and I mean it's kind of like just a bit disjointed, and it seems that it's just not really kind of got off their back a wee bit from there, and they're still lingering the effects of that, and it's just getting more and more in their own heads. Like I don't think they're all of a sudden just a bad team. They've got good players, well coached, good head coach, and it just seems that everything's just kind of spiraling a wee bit, and they just need to really hit a reset and just be like, we need to shake all this off and just need to get on and just get going. And sometimes that is hard because I've been there myself, and I know, and you start making pressure, and the little things then just become really difficult. The things that you used to do all the time, a simple catch, all of a sudden your head's turning because you're thinking about the extra yards right away because you're trying to do more to overcompensate for all the other stuff that you missed, and then these little things just start becoming these massive problems when there really isn't a massive problem there, but it all then just comes down to this mentality aspect. So, I still, any team that has Jefferson and things like that, you can't be taking that for granted. So I think you just need to kind of reset and just get their head straight.
Right,
I would agree.
You all heard that, and what we actually just had for the first time this week is we're joining the NFL commentating team with the first of the evening. Taylor Swift reference alert. We had a reference to shaking something off. That's the first one. We're joining every single commentary team in every ground, whether it was Kansas City were playing or not. We're desperately seeking to drop Taylor Swift references in. That's a first, Ian. Well done, mate. You can have that wee bit for yourself. Liam, what about yourself? Green Bay Vikings. For you, it's a lot more meaningful for you.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a team you look at and you would fear?
Well, after last season, no. Okay, we lost. we scrubbed. Week 1 was so far gone last year. No one remembered it, and then it was like was it week 15? We played them again, and we at home we trounced them. It was great. It was a great day.
We'll get on to your game, Liam. You beat the Saints with Derek Carr limping off.
Top of the division. Top of the division. Who'd have thought it?
That's true. The two
You
very
think the
different
Packers
styles.
were world beaters?
The two very different styles of commentary there, ladies and gentlemen. Where Ian steps in with a wonderfully nuanced view of how things are going, and then we wheel out the other divisional fan. Do you fear them? No.
No.
Right. Well, Smudger has actually already set us up and led us in. So, as has been mentioned, yes, Liam, you get to talk about Victory Monday and all things Green Bay beating the mighty New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr. And I don't know, I think he's down to at least 2/3 of one leg and 1/3 of the other. Was this a case where you deserve all the plaudits that the world's going to throw your way, or did you kind of get away with it a wee bit?
Of course, I had complete faith throughout this whole game. Craig will attest to that from some messages going back and forth on Sunday.
Oh, I absolutely never in doubt.
Yeah, it was not looking rosy, shall we say? three quarters in. No, yeah, well, in the end, it was a great win. In the end, wasn't it? 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and we're 17 down. And turned it around somehow. So,
some finale.
It's putting up 18. It's one of these things. You see, you look at the score, the quarter by quarter breakdown, right? 7-0 down in the first, 10-0 down in the second. Nothing happened in the third quarter. You both took that one off. And then you come back and you post 18 points in the fourth. You know, I mean, that's, dare I say it? Is that not just clutch football?
Yeah, well, It obviously, I suppose the whole thing for us, it's going to be all season, is what Love going to do. So no one knew what he was going to be coming in. 3 games in, not going to say he's perfect by any means, but it's a clutch win to come back from that as a third starting game, really. So yeah, and we're missing some pretty key players. Where Jones was out, still Watson was out, we're missing most of our left offensive line, or all of our offensive line, starting line as well. So, and Alexander was missing the cornerback. So we missed some key players, really. So to turn that round, okay, again, it's the Saints. They're not,
well, they're not one. To be fair,
Kansas City, but they've played 3 games. Their defense is pretty good. I say that's the most points they've lost in a game is 18, which is it's not too shabby at all.
That is good.
So yeah. I think if you went back and watched the coaches went back and watched the film, it's going to be a lot of correction, shall we say? But hey, as we're talking about first one quarter only, I'll take that quarter, that fourth quarter, and run with it. So,
right. I suppose
a win's a win, Liam.
Exactly.
Win's a win.
So one, I suppose the big one, and I don't know. I tell you, you tell me how you think about it. Because it's the thing I'm struggling with Green Bay this year. Because you look at Jordan Love, and it's all going to be about Love all season. You know what I mean? We all know that. The rest of the pieces, or most of the rest of the pieces in Green Bay, everybody knows who Jones is. Everybody knows what kind of player these guys are. But Love, we're treating him, or I feel a wee bit like we're treating him like a rookie quarterback. But it's his 4th year in the league. Now, obviously, he's not been able to get huge amounts of game time or anything, but he has been about for a long while. How are you looking at it? Are you looking at him as somebody that he basically is a rookie, or he needs to be held to a bit of a higher standard?
It's kind of a hard one, I think. Well, I suppose because it's such an unknown. I just say no one knew what he was going to do, and like if you told me 3 games in, he's had 3 touchdown games, only thrown 1 interception in 3 games. I've taken that all day long. I've been quite happy with that. Okay, he's been sitting behind Rodgers. He's getting all the experience sitting behind him all this time. But it's like they always say, it's nothing until you get in there and try and do it. You don't know how you're going to react. So it's baby steps, shall we say, positive. But we'll see how the season goes in total. But 3 games in, well, can't really say I'm unhappy.
And I suppose it's one where Green Bay obviously have been, a perennial playoff team. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, the Rodgers effect is the Rodgers effect, and we all know about that. Is this something like, do you guys see Green Bay sticking to that this year? Is that you see what is that the objective? Is that the aim? Like the realistic aim, obviously, be something. Would you want to do every year? Win a Super Bowl. But like, is the playoffs with Jordan Love year 1? what Green Bay are really aiming for?
I'm sure Craig will maybe say different, but I've been realistic at the start of the season. I'd have been relatively happy with 6 wins in the season, to be honest. That'd have been relatively successful. Seen what the stats were with Love, see what he did, see what he didn't do. But being the optimistic side of it, when I was looking at it, I thought we could sneak in into the playoffs. And again, I'm still the same mind. I don't really know where to see where we'll go, but hey, we're top of the division, as I said earlier, so we'll take it for now.
Absolutely, mate. Listen, when we did the preview, the season previews, and we did the NFC North, I think in the end, you reluctantly...
I reluctantly fell to fourth. I was going from first to fourth.
we had Green Bay at the bottom of the pile because we all thought that the Lions looked as if they were going to be rejuvenated. We thought the Bears, with all the moves that they made, and they've just been an absolute disaster.
Don't worry, we're time for them later.
So, as far as the NFC North goes and the Packers, I thought the second, it was definitely a game of two halves. He's held the Saints pretty well to like punt after punt after punt the second half of that game. I mean, okay, Winston came in after the lost car, but he did all right as well. The numbers were pretty similar. He certainly came in and was still pretty serviceable. It wasn't like they had a massive decline with a swap at quarterback. Okay, they were without Kamara. I think that's next week game suspension. He's back next week.
Yeah.
But then, like I say, Jones was out, so you were both missing key components running back. So it's a massive win, especially given everything else that happened in the division this weekend. So
yeah, the quarterback one's interesting for the sake of the stats. Carr before he went off was 13 for 18, 103 yards and a touchdown. Jameis, when he came in, 10 for 16, so not as good, but not wildly out. 101 yards.
That's the same, 100 yards, yep.
I mean, and to be fair to Winston, he got him up there for a field goal chance, right at the end. So that's what else you really want from really at that point near the end of the game. So,
Right, I'll tell you what, we've talked about one team that's got an incredible offense but no defense. A team that's trying to discover where its new offense lies. And we're going to move on now to talk about two teams who aren't entirely certain how offense is spelled. So, Ian, your beloved... Now, to be fair, this game was higher scoring than the punt return game.
Yes.
That wouldn't have been difficult.
So it's progress.
10-3, was it? 10-3, the punt return game finished. So,
yep.
First thing I say is if you haven't watched the game, then I wouldn't bother watching the highlights because there's not much highlights to watch.
Hold on now.
I'm a fan of the winning team. If you haven't watched it, don't.
Yeah, there's nothing really going to excite you. I guess I'm a pretty cynical. There's kind of two ways. I was looking at the season. The coaching side of things. Having Bill O'Brien back was a big plus. Really liked him in college. Really liked what he's done. So I was happy he was coming in and looking forward to seeing how the offense was going to work there. And then, Gesicki guy I'd always liked as well. So I was really excited for that signing. Then Juju, it's like, a guy can still do a job, man. I'd seen him out in Kansas City last year. So, it was pretty kind of exciting. And then we kind of, in the draft, pick up, these kind of, Keyshawn Booty out of LSU. We'd kind of some problems. It was a bit of a risk, but, everything before he had his problems, he was kind of getting, he had some better numbers than, some of the big LSU wide receivers. So, he was a bit of a risk, but then he's paid off, and then made, Demario Douglas. So there was like a lot of excitement, and then at the end there, Ezekiel Elliott comes in. So you're like, okay, some exciting things happening on offense. Okay, so kind of looking forward to this, and then within the first 7 minutes of that opening game against the Eagles, we'd fumbled it, we were behind by this, and you're like, shit, here we go again. So. And then last week it really wasn't much better, but yesterday things were a bit better offensively. Right away there was kind of some decent passing. It wasn't a straight 3 now. Some nice out routes to the tight ends.
Yep.
The run game wasn't wasn't really there. You know, I don't know quite what's going on with Ramondre at the moment. You know, he was rested a lot.
Yeah.
He was rested a lot through the summer. He didn't take part in a lot of stuff in training camp or pre-season. He just doesn't seem to be moving quite freely. So I'm not too sure what's going on there.
The worrying one with Ramondre, surely, because he had opportunity. He had 19
Yep.
carries.
Yeah,
19
We
carries.
were talking about that last week, about Stevenson and Zeke, wondering what this game would be like. They were pretty even. Like Zeke had 16, Stevenson had 19, but Zeke ended up getting a wee bit more, about 80 yards compared to
80
59.
yards,
A reasonable kind of 50-50 split in terms of the number of the snaps that they were seeing on the ground, because it was a bit of a wet and miserable kind of game for a lot of it. And Jones was, I think, yeah, I wouldn't look too deeply into the stats on Jones from that point of view, because he attempted a few kind of ambitious deep balls to like Parker and Juju, and I think the conditions kind of played into that a wee bit as well. So I think they did look improved. I would definitely agree with that, Ian.
We kind of got, you know, we done. I think Mac done a really good job of, you know, switching things up. There was a few times where he changed the play, where he got some good matchups that he liked, and he kind of took advantage of it, which was good. In regards to the touchdown as well, I'm pretty sure he's changed the play there because he's seen the man coverage, and he's done that. The play action. You know, we've got the tight end Miles Holmes, so he's went down the hill. And it's a tight end. It's a tight end. It's not a pass catching tight end. He's a blocking tight end. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he's changed the play on that, because if we were going to run that as a route, you'd put your better hands of Henry or Gesicki in there. So
that's why he brought Gesicki in, because Gesicki's his tight ends go. He's not the best blocker in the world, but he does have good hands.
Yeah. So
I did love that touchdown though. It was brilliant though.
Oh,
because it was so quick though. Like Jones, he just gets the ball, and literally like a couple of seconds later, he just floats it over and just sees Big Pharaoh Brown just standing there. The big man just goes. It was absolutely brilliant.
Just hold it that wee second, just to make it look like it's that run, just to suck in those defenders. So as soon as he gets past those defenders and he thinks they're still holding on it, you can just dump it. So great job, but defensively, really good. They're really, really good. Patriots are a really good team defensively. I think there's any getting away from that.
They absolutely stuffed the Jets on third downs. First half they dominated in third downs.
I was looking through the stats of the game. That's one that bounced out at me. The Jets converted 2 out of 14 third downs. Like you can complain about just third down efficiency. And you can complain about it's Zach Wilson, it's the Jets, or the rest of it all you want. You need to give a huge amount of credit to a defense that does that to a team. That does just show you a really well worked defensive unit.
I'm sure at one point through halfway through the second quarter, their total yardage, fuck the game is -1.
You have went backwards.
Yeah. So was it like there was Gonzalez looks like an absolute steal. And I try not to get hyped up with all these rookies, man. I've been there so many years now as a Patriots fan, and we pick this guy's the other end, and it never ever pays off. So I tend not to get hyped up when we draft guys in the first round. Just something that just doesn't really work out a lot for us. But he seems to be, just a really, really good player. He's locked down, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill now. Garrett Wilson locked down yesterday as well. So he's, seems to be a really good addition. Keon White that we took in the second round as well, Georgia Tech D-line. He's an absolute monster. And he's just helping clean things up inside. And Judon's doing what Judon does. So defensively, they're looking really good. So as the first half went on, I was like, this just seems pretty routine. Even though we weren't really doing much offense, we're making drives. We had a couple of field goal attempts, but 2 high snaps, which then just put the timing in that off, and we missed them again. Kind of weather conditions, things like that.
Was the second one? Was the second field goal attempt he's missed? He was 3 up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the second half, the Jets had one drive. I think Wilson finished on 100 and
They did
50
one
on-
really solid drive in the fourth. Wilson did
Yeah.
have he did have
the
one
comeback looked
proper
like a
drive
maybe one.
all game.
Yeah, and I think he got 112 yards in that drive, and he only finished with like 158 whole game or something like that.
Aye.
Something like that. It was
You know what I mean? So if you can hold them to that, one drive a game, really, that
Yeah.
you're doing well. But we got the safety, and then you're thinking,
I
okay, that's
love our safety. That's one of my favourite scoring moments in football. It's so embarrassing. You've just been leathered in your own end zone.
Yeah.
It always takes so long to develop sometimes, I feel, as well. You're like willing it on, and you're like just waiting for the last minute for the ball to be either like thrown away or down. But and then the Jets had this booming punt, man, like a 75-yard punt from the safety that pinned us away back in their own 10, and you're like, okay, maybe this is the over.
That's a punter that's really visualising when they get that ball. They are visualising someone they dislike. All day leather that.
And then the kind of the end of the game just became really scrappy. We kind of try to see it out, and then I don't really know what we were doing, but we ended up Matt taking like a QB sneak sort of thing to gain a first down with 8 seconds left when we couldn't really do anything else with it. So we then 20-odd seconds, then punt it away to them or something. I really don't know what we were doing at that point, but
what's the plan here?
And then you give it back to them, but luckily it's Zach Wilson, you're getting the ball back to us, so there's no worries there. So
I've been fair, he had a good batch with that Hail Mary.
Well, the drive before he hit the check down on 4th and 10 and man coverage. So that's definitely one to be thinking about.
It's not a high percentage.
No.
I tell you, so surely this is going to be the big one for Pats fans to be thinking at a minute. So obviously, when we did all the stuff with previews and we thought about what did Pats fans think the season ahead was going to hold, there was that big air of optimism. The kind of changes that happened and what have you. And, there was obviously the Jets were a big unknown, but they had Rodgers at the time, and they obviously now don't. Are Pats fans and Jets fans now just kind of in a position where you're looking at the rest of the division, you're looking at that Dolphins team, you're looking at that Bills team, do you know what, guys? Let's just call the season here. Let's just get to the next draft, and we'll reset and we'll start again.
You know what? It's like if all of 4 wins in Boston and things like that are just absolutely blinding. Blinkers on the whole time, and it's like, no, we're good enough for this. We can beat this. We can beat that, and like it's just like either you don't actually understand what's going on, or you literally are just blinded by your team. So I think there's a real divide. There's like optimistics. For me, it's just ultimately, did I think we would beat the Dolphins and Eagles to start the season? Probably not. No, because one, we never normally beat the Dolphins early in the season, and the Eagles just off the Super Bowl. So, and then we beat the Jets. Yeah. So are we where I thought we'd probably be? Yeah. So and then you're going to play Cowboys next week, who then just get brought back down to earth. So. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. And if there's one thing we've learned from the NFL is you can't predict what will happen. I mean, you're saying, what's going to happen division-wise when the Pats play the Dolphins, who just dropped 70 points. But we were all talking about the Cardinals playing the Cowboys, who just dropped 50 points a week prior, and we went, I've got no chance, absolutely no chance.
Mm-hmm.
Then okay, they had some massive injuries throughout the week, which did have influence on it. But these things happen, so you just never know. Like a Dolphins team that dropped 70 points one week, hopefully not, but a few injuries here there, and it could be an entirely different story in a week or two from now.
With the defense they've got, they'll always be in games. I don't
exactly.
Don't see any teams blowing the Patriots out of the water. And if they do, it'll be because of mistakes and like that. It's just not going to be on ability. And then it's just a case of what levels the offense can get to. How quickly can they adapt? How quickly can they get better? Is there any last minute trades now? Is there teams that are going to start thinking, oh well, that's our season gone? So let's try and rebuild and offload a few.
Vikings.
Yeah.
Just
Right, okay.
just
Well,
before
tell
you
you what,
move
we'll-
on to the
we'll
next
kinda
one, Brian.
Well, I know. Says the Browns fan. Right, so glass houses and all that, guys. Right, well, tell you what. So talking about what can offense move to levels and all the rest of it. There's only one more game to talk about, and there's only one more game that we possibly can talk about. And let's be honest, chaps. There's blowouts and there's blowouts. I mean, there's giving somebody a bit of a cuffing, and there's 70-20. This is one Ian's actually probably sat there really smug, given that he's already mentioned putting 50 up on somebody earlier in the pod, and this is just the same. 50 points differential in it. It was Denver at the Dolphins, and I don't think many people expected Denver to walk away with much. However, I think we maybe expected the smallest scraps of their dignity that they would potentially leave with. And I think it is safe to say that they are. How do you ever live a game like that down? As I said to the guys before we started, I've not even dedicated anybody to run this game down because there is just so much in it to potentially eat into. I'm just going to put this one up here, just as my one that I looked at, and it's very obvious and it's very simple. 726 total yards of offense.
Yep. Ridiculous. Unbelievable.
Right,
you know
what
what's
was it?
interesting as well, Brian? You say 726 yards. That's second. That's second in the history of the NFL.
Well.
735 is the record from 1951. The Rams in 1951. Because I was interested to see if the yardage record was broken, but sadly not. A bit like the points record that we were all hoping for. Like, take the field goal, come on, like do it. And then what does McDaniel do? It's take an E at the end of the game, and we're all absolutely gutted about it.
People were applauding that as if, that's
classy,
so classy. You've just put 70 up in them.
Exactly.
Since the last 3 weeks. It's not like they got to 40-20 and they started easing off.
You can't be talking about classy when they done the no-look shovel pass.
Oh, that was just brilliant.
That's just
so good.
Yeah, that's a team.
Pass to H.M. was one of the best things we saw on Sunday night. Unbelievable.
I think that's just a team confident and enjoying playing together, enjoying their environment, enjoying their coaching. The whole locker room's on the same place, and that's what happens. But at the same time, the media then is going to, they're going to be seeing how high. So it's up to them mentally now again to how they deal with it, because you start blaming your own hype sometimes. You start that's when you start getting a little bit sloppy. And you think, actually, I don't need to do that because I'm already there. So yes, it's up to them how they keep going. They are a great team. They've got great players. Mike McDaniel's a great coach. Good things going for them. It's how they can keep it going and how they react to the constant expectations now that that's going to be on their shoulders.
It is going to be interesting. I'm looking at the Finns' schedule, and next week they've got the Bills coming up. They actually don't have like a horror run of games at any point the rest of the year. The worst that I can really see is they've got Eagles, Pats, Chiefs. Then after that, it's the Raiders. Then it's the Jets. So they've got maybe the odd patch with a couple of tricky opponents, but no, they don't. Like, are they going to get that big test? Are they going to get that big punch in the mouth that they then need to kind of come back from? What do you think, Liam? As you've been watching this, and we've all been loving watching the Finns this year, but what do you take away from them?
Well, it's kind of like, I remember thinking back, it seems funny that we didn't think of this before, but last season they were doing the same. Not okay, they didn't put up 70, but the start of the season last season they were flying as well, and you kind of forgot about that because obviously the whole Tua saga that went on for most of it and end. And I suppose it kind of comes back to that, doesn't it? Can Tua stay healthy really? Obviously you don't want to see anyone get injured, but I suppose that's always beats was talking point coming into the season. It's still kind of the talking point. But then I think next week's gonna be interesting going up against the Bills. Is it Bills next week? I think so.
Yeah.
Obviously, Josh Allen squaring off against Tua. That'll be an interesting after that kind of scoreline.
I don't see anything on the Bills that stops that Dolphins. I think the only thing that stops them just now is themselves.
This one here is a thought. Should we be talking about, and I know it's only week 3, surely Tua has got to be the name at the top of the ballot for like the early, far too early MVP conversation.
He's thrown for over 1,000 yards already, isn't it, after 3 games?
Yeah, ridiculous.
He did 1,000 last year. He's got a third of that already in 3 games.
But it's funny because see if we sat at the start of the season, we said, right, who are your top quarterbacks in the league? You know what I mean? Right, okay, you'd have had Mahomes, you'd have had Allen, you'd have had Herbert, you'd have had possible people like Lawrence. Ian would have said Mac and we would all laugh.
People whispered back at the start of the season as well, you know, but there's so many quarterbacks that were all hyped up. But he's not done much wrong so far. Their offense has been so good to watch. The fact that they were so balanced as well, let's say that the rushing touchdown, the passing touchdowns, just everything clicked yesterday. And it was probably a freak game. You know, like it was a combination of an offense doing everything right and a defense doing everything wrong. Like the Broncos defense is honking, like even more honking than the Jags defense was on Sunday, which was also honking. But they were just all over the place. And I felt a wee bit for Russell Wilson because he was the dreadful. Like I'm just looking like he threw for over 300 yards in that game. Yeah. He only took 1 sack and he lost 2 touchdown passes as well to penalties. So like he couldn't really do much wrong, but his defense was just that was the by far the weak link in that as far as the Broncos went. So you know, from Vance Joseph, I'm thinking, that's a shaky peg as far as coaching positions goes. I would have thought because
what's always been a bit strange.
Off to a good start.
Yeah. So what's I going to say about Sean Payton, which I only since I've reading an article today, I didn't think of it at the time, is they left Wilson in there, even though the score was miles away. Like, surely you would have just taken him out. Like, is that a kind of thing of?
I think in those situations, like if you're a struggling team, then you got to use that as a training session,
I suppose.
You know, and so you know if you're struggling to get things moving and you're trying to get your wide receivers and your quarterback on the same timing and things like that, then that's you say you get the closest thing you can get to a game you train. So if you actually got that opportunity in like game-like situations, then you got to take that. And that's probably why they did keep him in there, was just to try and keep, going through the progressions, getting used to the snaps, getting used to, handoffs with running backs and timings with wide receivers and things like that. So it might not seem like much, but there probably was some purpose that the Broncos did get out of that, even though it wasn't on the scoreboard.
No, I'm gonna say Ian's been far too reasonable. That was entirely punitive. That was Sean Payton punishing Russ for all his Broncos country, for all his crap he's hit me over the past season and an off season. That was Sean Payton looked at what was happening to his team, thought about it, and went, "Nah, do you know what? Stuff you."
for all the money
thrown
at them that they can't throw at defensive players.
Yeah, you can just go out there to get murdered. Although to be I say that they only took 1 sack, was it?
1 sack, yeah, 1 sack, yeah.
1 sack, aye.
They didn't get that murdered. Right, okay, gents. That brings us to the close of our big games. They're all big games, but those were the homers and the bigger ones that we chose to talk about this week. So it is time for it's a slightly new feature. We've been enjoying it so far this year. It's the resting one. So it's going back through all the other games. And I've been slightly cruel this weekend, and I've actually given Ian Monday Night Football. So he has to project into the future and hope he doesn't get it wrong.
I'm actually quite happy with that because I think it's two fascinating games. So.
Excellent.
for different reasons.
So we'll save that one for the end. So it's running through the other games. Give me them in one line. Smudger, we're going to kick off with yourself in Thursday night football. It was the Giants at the Niners. Give me it in one line.
Tell you.
the vindication of somebody that was on the preview crew. Knew it. Liam, what about the Falcons at Lions?
I think it was a Laporta breakout party for.
That was. I'm being made to eat my words with Laporta. I've been saying it all off season. Nope, rookie tight end. Nope. And yeah, that looked like that was promising. Ian, this I'm interested in this one. Texans at Jags.
Bad day at the office for the Jags. Just off day. Houston got lucky. Off day.
Yeah, the Jags haven't been flying this year. It's not been vintage.
You
T-Law's
watch that
not
one.
been looking.
If you watch that one back, there's a lot of things went wrong that, just one of those ones where, if it goes wrong, it's going wrong for you on that day, and it's just a catalogue of errors. That won't happen again, I don't think.
Look at the experience. Well, for me, it could only be looking at the Titans. Titans at the Browns. Super Bowl's back on. Smudger. Bills at Washington. Bills at the Commanders. Sorry, I call them football team again.
One liner for this one. Demolition job. Take command.
Oh, you like that. Liam, this year you better go one particular direction with us, and I'll be disappointed with you. Colts at the Ratbirds.
Tucker being upstaged by another kicker.
Ooh, can you believe it? Mr. Automatic.
I know, but it's fair. Missing a 61 field.
Aye,
field goal.
It's that close.
Then Matt Gay scored, was it four 50-yarders he got? So upstaged.
Yeah, quite right. Ian, I don't think this is a vintage game, but still, Panthers at Seahawks.
My one line for that was two terrible teams.
Aww, Seahawks.
I know what to say. Seahawks fans are not going to be impressed with that one.
Right. Do you know? I'm not even gonna really dig in, and it's just the Bears. I actually now genuinely feel bad for Bears fans, which is quite the thing because I do enjoy mocking Grant in the chat we have. But I genuinely feel bad for them. They've ruined Justin Fields. Right, okay. Let's draw this to a close. Smudge, our last one for yourself, mate. Cowboys at Cardinals.
Oh, injuries. Yeehaw, if you're a Cards fan. That was probably one of the big surprise results of the weekend. But Cowboys, I think, like the previous game that you was discussing, just bad day at the office. And injuries, I think, got the better of them, certainly on the defensive side. So hopefully they'll come good, I'm sure. So as the Cowboys, they are used to. We've seen this from them before.
So for clarity, you're not backing Joshua Dobbs as MVP. I wanted to be certain. Right, last one for yourself, Liam. It was a late game. Steelers at Raiders.
McDaniels, I think that sums it up. I think really.
Yeah.
Was
really?
It? Was there was some stat? It was the only team I think who went for a field goal with 3 minutes left, being down 8 points in the fourth quarter with less than 5 yards or less to go, and they did it twice because they went for a kick and they got it, and then it got pulled back for a penalty, and they did it again. They got 3 plays later, did it again. It was interesting.
Conspiracy, just trying to make the Steelers look good, clearly. Right, Ian, you said you were looking forward to it, mate. So Monday Night Football.
Yeah, so we go the Tampa and Philadelphia. We go potential game of the week, I think, on that one. Yeah, I think Tampa surprised a lot of people. That Philly just a good team all round, but yeah, I know you're a big Baker fan, and I liked what he's done so far. Liked what he's done so far this year, so yeah, I'm going potential game of the week there. And then on the other one, could be the downfall of Cincinnati. So you've got a potential game of the week, and then you've got the potential downfall of Cincinnati. So yeah, two two massive games, to be perfectly honest. And I think, if Cincinnati do lose, you might see some movement with some star players.
I'll tell you what. So here is your 2-1 thing, because we do still have 2 games waiting for us. So we've got the Bucks at the Eagles and we've got the Bengals at the Rams. Or the other way about. But is this? So I'm going to ask the one because it's a complete homer for me, and I do love it so much. Are we seeing the signs of Baker trying to reclaim his career?
I don't know. Like, I think maybe he's just a guy not playing with any pressure. Like, there was so much hype and pressure on him at Cleveland, and then, when he was, the expectation, you're doing well, and then that expectation grows, and then you have that one bad couple of games, and then all of a sudden it's just this negative energy, and again, you're talking about these spirals. But you seemed to watch it again that first game of the season against the Vikings and did not look out of place. A guy played a really good game with some good weapons, and Mike Evans seems to be connecting really well with him. Good, you build up a good rapport with that guy, and he's your wide receiver you're throwing to. You're always going to be in a good place. So yeah, an interesting season. See how he goes, how he takes it.
I tell you, the other question then for our other game in Monday Night Football, I don't know how Bengals fans would take this as a thought. So, Craig, Liam, I don't know what you think. Should the Bengals, I'm not going to say bench Burrow, because they're clearly not benching him, but should they be wrapping him in some cotton wool and resting him to try and let that soft tissue injury heal properly, rather than basically risk him?
Definitely. Well, yeah, I think logically, yes, but I suppose your own too. What are you going to do? You're kind of stuck in a rock and hard place, aren't you? So,
I don't think he'll play tonight.
I don't think he should, but
no, I don't think he should either.
But
I've seen it before.
Yeah, I don't think they signed Andy Dalton on whatever it was, Thursday, Friday. If he was going to play tonight, I don't think he'll play. I don't think it's worth the risk. You can go 0-3, that's fine, but he can play, still be 0-3 and then out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
That's
one and say. No, I was going to say that this gives you a wee bit of hope as well, Smudger. There have been 6 0-3 teams that have made the postseason.
Yep.
81 the Jets did it, 82 the Bucks did it, 92 the San Diego Chargers, because it's 1992. 95 the Lions did it, 98 the Bills did it, and the most recent time was 2018 the Texans managed after an 0-3 start. Possible.
That's all in a lower. That was all in the 1 game West season, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, and it's longer season now, which does help you a wee bit. But I don't see it happening for us. For the Bengals, I would absolutely be wrapping up Burrow in cotton wool. He's so vital to that team. But if they can somehow get through this game and get a win under their belt without him, hopefully it will stand them in good stead for the remainder. And like you say, that injury that he's had bother with all through kind of pre-season as well. He's clearly struggling, and the Bengals are not performing as a result. So you're only going to make things worse by playing him. Like, you've seen the evidence so far; it's clear. So why would you continue with that? It's not going to get any better, any quicker if you keep throwing him out there. So I think that they've got to put him to one side and let it heal.
I think there's the T Higgins contract situation is all what makes it very interesting as well, because if they have a really bad season and it's own whatever, or by how near, then does he want out? Is Burrow out long term? Does he not sign? So there'll be a lot of these things, a lot of these conversations about what do we do and how do we do things. So yeah, and Higgins didn't have the best start to the season either, so not rosy and Cincy.
Nope, and it's fantastic. I tell you, that comment is in no way related to my status as a Browns fan. Right, okay, we're going to wrap things up now. As always, we do have a statistic of the week, and I felt bad actually for the last time I was on, and I actually had Stu on, and I didn't let him have a statistic of the week. So I'm going to hit out, but this does come from the mind and heart of Stu. and I like this one. And it sticks with our theme of the Dolphins being frankly ludicrous. So they didn't break the all-time score record. They were 2 points shy of it. They neglected the opportunity to kick their field goal. However, it was not a night where no records were broken, because until that game, no two teammates had ever had 4 touchdowns and 140 scrimmage yards each in a given game. And that was achieved by a Chain and Mostert. They both eclipsed those stats. And we wonder how the Dolphins managed to make it to 70 points. With 2 players are combining for 8 TDs. But yeah, so there is our statistic of the week, folks. Right. That is us going to wrap up now, ladies and gentlemen. We have had a wee look back over week 3. Now, remember, you can keep in touch with the Gridiron Crew via Twitter at GridIronCrew. We're grid_iron_crew on Insta. Stick Gridiron Crew into YouTube. You will find us there. We're on Twitch and everywhere that you get your podcasts. Help grow the community. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Get in touch. We've been loving hearing from the Bouncing Off the Ropes podcast today on YouTube, chucking some thoughts at us, which was fantastic. We would love to hear from more of you guys. Now, we might be done with week 3, but as we've already said, the league isn't. We've got Monday Night Football to look forward to. Will the Eagles get baked? I've been sat in that one all night. And as I say, will the Bengals rediscover any form, or will they take the long-term view of things? And we'll all just need to tune in tonight and watch and see what the league has for us. So with that said, I've been Brian, the Conscience of Cleveland Donlan. I'm delighted to have had Craig on with me tonight. Smudger, thank you very much for joining me, mate.
Thanks, Brian.
Liam, it has been a pleasure to have you on as well, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
No, indeed, always a pleasure. Always great to chat.
And Ian, it's been far too long since we've had you back on, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Ian, as we've said before, coach of the EK Pirates. So if you're ever in the kind of the EK area, you want to get yourself into some Brit ball, definitely go give them a look. Ian, thank you so much for joining us today, mate.
No problem at all. Loved it. Anytime, guys.
Fantastic. So we will see you all later in the week with the week 4 preview crew. Until then, it has been a pleasure, folks, and we'll speak to you all next time. Good evening.